back to another episode of the Higher Level Podcast. So finally back in studio after quite a few months out, and we've got quite a lot to talk about tonight. Joining us in studio we have Lewis and Tunde, who are going to be talking about their fights recently as well. So we'll kick it off, obviously. CageWarriors Trilogy just been and gone, not without its controversy. Just before we move into that, obviously the Luke Shanks fight. Talk a wee bit about Scott Malone. Give us your thoughts on the fight and how that went.
There was always a possibility of that fight going that way. I think Doolan Hazen's a bit of a spoiler. He's not the most exciting fighter. He's seen what he done with Josh Reed. He controlled him for large periods of the fight. Never looked to hurt him or finish him or anything like that. So we kind of went into the fight thinking that Scott would be able to handle his wrestling, and that wouldn't be an issue. And in spells it did. There was some pretty good scrambles in that fight, but Hazen's control, and once he gets a hold of you and once you stop moving, is really, really good. Like very, very good, because Scott's a hard guy to out wrestle, and Hazen's done it. He never done anything other than that, but he never landed many strikes. He never had any attempted submission. He never even tried to pass guard, to be honest. He just was pretty content lying in Scott's guard and kind of holding his hips. So it was a hard fight for Scott stylistic wise. He's one of these fighters that Hazen is one of these fighters that is going to make everybody look bad. It doesn't matter how good you are. He's going to make you look terrible, which he's now done with Josh Reed, who fought the weekend and looked excellent, and now with Scott. It was a split decision. One of the judges seemed to favour Scott's, even lying on the bottom, bouncing elbows off his head and stuff, which is how the fight should have been scored, to be honest. But it was a frustrating night, man, just with that fight. That style is hard to deal with. It's something you can't even replicate too much in the gym, because it's not even just holding the guy down. There's almost like a level of panic with Doolan Hazen. You can see it in his face sometimes, where he's like, he's so scared that Scott gets space and hurts him or whatever. He's just clamping on him for dear life. So it was a good. He got 15 minutes and he got some problems and stuff, and Scott performed well, but Hazen's just got that horrible style. It's just a style that he's going to cause problems for everybody at that weight as well. He's a big strong kid at the weight.
Do you think as well it gives you something to work on coming away from the fight? And Scott's still relatively new to that weight class.
Well, he messaged me on the Sunday saying he wouldn't be at higher level this week, and what does he want me to get him working on, and that was the stuff. That stuff we've not really covered with Scott in here, because we don't have anybody in here that fights like that just holds you down. All our guys are trying to advance position, hurt you or finish you. So it's something that he can probably drill that up the road with his own students and stuff like that. Just get somebody who's a bit bigger and stronger to try and hold his hips down for guard and work on getting his frames in the way and separating and getting back to his feet and stuff. But it's definitely not something that we prepared for. We prepared for the scrambles and the wrestling exchanges and stuff like that, but we never prepared for a guy just lying holding your hips, running the clock. He was warned a bunch of times by the ref and stuff, but it's something that'll not happen to Scott again. Yeah.
And then obviously moving on to Luke Shanks fighting again for the title, but obviously leading up to the fight, Luke missed weight. Give me your thoughts on that and what happened there.
So I never took too much to do with his weight cut. He's had problems making that weight before. He assured me that he would make the weight. He's never made it comfortable since the Menga fight. Actually made it pretty comfortable, but he's done it that many times now that I almost thinks he can get away with it, leaving it late. And this time it's kind of popped up and bit him on the arse. He's now done 4 or 5 of the cuts in a really short period of time. There was a couple of issues that if you speak to Luke about it, he'll give you a list of body issues that this, that and the next thing went wrong, but it's all on him. He's accountable for it. He's went down there far too heavy. He's left it too late. He reckoned he was 2 pounds over on the scales. We had to went away and cut 2 pounds, and then it turned up when we went to the official weigh-in. I think he was closer to 5, and then eventually he missed it by 2.7. So he's going to have to address that, because it's highly unprofessional. It's embarrassing for me, to be honest, because our guys don't miss weight. But in 20 years of coaching, I think I've had 3 guys miss. One of them I kicked out the gym for it. He was unprofessional as shit. One had a legit health reason, and one was an issue with the scales. But he's going to have to fix that moving forward, because it was a problem from him. From my point of view, as soon as he missed weight, I kind of just signed off for the weekend. I was like, I'll do what I need to do and stuff, but if he doesn't care enough to make weight, then I'm not really going to care enough for him.
And obviously leading into the fight itself, there was a controversy where Luke had an armbar, and looking back on the videos, it really does look like Sam Creasy taps. For what I seen of the videos, had you noticed that during the fight in the corner?
No, the position of our corner, I never seen it at the time. I seen the opening exchange where Luke's came out and threw like a sloppy kick, wrong side kick, to be kicking an orthodox fight. He's get took down. I seen Sam coming down into his guard and stuff. The reason I never seen it was because the hand he's tapped was at the far side of us. And for a split second, the referee was actually in the way, and he's moved round to the other side. So the footage, I've seen footage from 3 different angles now, and it does look like he tapped. At the time, I never thought anything of it. I seen that when we get back to the changing rooms, and I was like, I didn't even bring it up at the time. I was just it looked like I tapped it. And then it wasn't until later on, when we got off the bus at the hotel, Rich Mitchell, who was the other official on the night, he was outside the cage, said that they seen it. The officials actually seen it for cage side. And something would be done about it. Dan's obviously missed it. He's been at the wrong side and changed sides, and Luke kind of posted some shit on social media blaming Dan, which again, it's not his fault. He's at the wrong side and missed it. But I've seen a couple camera angles there, and there does appear to be 2 taps there. It's like it looks. We were talking about it in the gym. It looks like a panic tap with the arms hyperextended quick, and he's tapped, and it's an instinctual thing. And you can actually see the way Luke's body shapes off. Luke lets it go and bails on it, which is, again, it's fairly common way for guys to come out of the arm lock, and Sam's just jumped right on his back. So at the time, I never seen it. It was after it, and then again, it was reinforced when people started coming up to us. And by the end of the night, we had people sending us screenshots and videos and what people messaging saying they'd seen it, for even people that were in the crowd, for different angles. So it looks like it's happened, and I don't think Sam's come out and denied it.
No.
And Cage Warriors were meant to be. I think they were meant to be talking about it today and stuff. I spoke to Ian Dean the other day about the December show, and he said they'd be in touch. I know Luke spoke to Rich Mitchell at night, and then he also spoke to Graham Boylan. And I think he's waiting to hear back from them. There's no athletic commission in this country, so it's not like you've got something to appeal to. For what I'm hearing from them, it sounds like they're maybe going to offer a rematch. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure, but we'll wait and see.
Because you presume with a commission, obviously with the appeal process, you would look to overturn the bout to a no contest?
I don't know how it would work, to be honest, because we've never had a commission. It would either be a no contest or they would have awarded Luke the win, because technically he's won that fight in 25 seconds if he has tapped. But I'm not sure how it would work. It needs to be overruled, the result at least, or whatever, but I'm not quite sure. Again, to be honest, I've not been taking a lot to do with it because of the fact that he missed weight. If he'd made the weight and it was a fair contest for that title, I would have been a lot more vocal about it. But I've been leaving him to deal with it, just because I'm pissed off with him.
Is that potentially, so obviously, is this maybe the wake-up call he needs in terms of fighting at flyweight and making that? Because obviously, you know, the step to the UFC, that's something you're going to have to make every time you walk.
He needs to be more professional outside. And he's not a bantamweight. That's the reality. He's 5'6", with his shoes on. He's too small for bantamweight. The night before, look, you had Dominic Wooden fighting, who's like 5'9", and those guys are just too big and explosive for him. Even the style that Luke's got, it wouldn't be good for him at bantamweight. He needs to make that that flyweight limit, and he should be making it. He's got a lack of discipline, and it's everybody else's fault. But he needs to be accountable for that the same way everybody else is accountable for what they eat. It's not a training thing. The kid trains hard. He trains hard and he always turns up to fight. But if you leave that one area out of your game, it'll catch up with you. And I think that's exactly what's happened. Doolan said it in the Cage Warriors office. You've been pretty much been playing Russian roulette with the weight for 5 or 6 times, and now you've got the bullet, and it kind of sums it up. He was only going to get away with that for so long. So he was in the gym tonight. He's going to make things right for what he was saying to me anyway. Whether it does or not, we'll need to wait and see. But he says he's going to be walking a bit lighter. He'll get on top of the diet and whatever else. So we'll wait and see. But it'll either be the end of his career or it'll push him on. So it's up to him. Yeah.
So it's just a waiting game then. Hear what Cage Warriors say. Hopefully rematch and then move forward for there.
Take it for there, aye.
Brilliant. And obviously, other thing that was going on, obviously you were at Cage Warriors, so you couldn't be down with the lads that went down south for the English MMA Association. So who was all down? So Tunde, you were down. Lewis, Logan was down as well.
We were meant to have 7 at one point. We had 7 matches, I think, even a week out, and then 4 of them all fell off. So we ended up with just the 3.
And coaching wise down, obviously Mark, Kieran.
Yeah, Kieran Reid. So Kieran's a coach. He coaches at Strathclyde Uni and stuff. He coaches some of the beginners in here and covers jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. So he seems to be going in that direction. I think that's what he wants to do as a job now. To be honest, he's a very good coach.
Yeah.
So he was in charge. He done a lot of work behind the scenes, actually setting everything up. Kieran. He set up like a GoFundMe thing when with the 7 of them did it was going to be pretty expensive. We thought there was going to be medical charges, hotels, transport, uniforms and stuff. So Kieran organised all of that pretty much off his own back. Made it as easy as he could for the guys to go down and fight, and done a really good job. Mark and Kieran went down and assisted him. So it was like a young coaching team, but very, very talented and experienced guys to be handling themselves, confident sending the guys down.
So it was like a future higher level down there then?
Pretty much, man, aye. So it was good. It was good. It would have been nice if we had the 7 on, like we first had planned. It would have been good for those people to get a look at, like Sean Clancy and stuff like that. But it was good for just to even get the freedom. It's still at that setting. It's something that we're keen to obviously get involved with, and just let our amateur guys build as much experience as possible.
I guess for you, obviously Lewis will come to you first. That was you down there making your debut. Been training for a long time. How was the experience for you? How much do you enjoy it down there?
It was amazing. Enjoyed every single minute. Yeah.
And leading up to the fight, any nerves? How was that feeling? Or were you just looking forward? Was it you looking forward to getting in there?
I was just looking forward.
Nice.
Want to get in there.
And Tunde, this was your third fight?
Yeah.
Third fight, so that's you moved to 3-0.
Yeah.
How was the experience going down there to this versus your previous 2 fights? Was it different? Or?
Yeah, I'll say so. I'll say you get more exposure down there. Like, Lewis was obviously a first fight, and, there was a few crowd, and then Lewis set a great tempo to start off the card, and then a lot of people started speaking to other people that were at the show. They were started saying, well, you need to come and watch this MMA show that's going on, some fights going on. And before you notice, the second fight signed, there was about 900 to 1,000 people, and then the next thing getting bigger and bigger, and by the time it turned to my fight, you were easily had about 2,000 people watching me fight, and it was just a great experience.
How was that then when you look at there's 2,000 folk there, because you're going for regional shows and that, and the regional shows can be busy, but 2,000 people, that's a decent sized crowd there to watch you.
Well, to be honest, it was a little bit nerve-wracking going into the cage, but once you get in, you kind of want to put on a show for everybody and make sure that they enjoy that. And after the fight, you actually had a lot of people coming up to us and actually saying, wow, you guys come from a really good gym, what's your Instagram, what's your Facebook. So yeah, we're actually able to expose ourselves out there.
I went
which is
outside
really good.
afterwards and there were folks sitting taking photos of me.
Oh, I bet he's loving that.
Oh, really great, yeah.
Well, so you'll be looking forward to doing something like that again then.
Yeah.
100%.
Presumably for the team bot as well. These sort of things are great for the younger guys. If you're getting crowds of 2,000 people as well, that's an experience you don't get at a lot of the regional shows. Although the regional shows can be busy, usually it's maybe 400 or 500. Let's be honest, pissed up people at these shows, and I'm assuming quite a lot of the UK teams were down there. A lot of the big teams.
All the big squads had people there, for what I've seen, over the 3 days and stuff. So that's why we were kind of keen to get involved with it. You see the English team sending guys to the European Champions and the World Championships and stuff like that. You get a wee bit jealous, like, because we've not got that set up in place yet. And we've had it before where our fighters have been beating guys that have won IMMAA, like European titles, and won and medalled at Worlds and stuff like that, and then they come over and our guys are smoking them. So it's definitely something we're going to try and push forward with in the future. Just let our amateur guys get that experience, and it'll bode well for them when they all turn pro, if they're going to turn pro.
Is it something you'd like to get done there as well and get involved in? Obviously, you were there for the CageWarriors Trilogy, so you had to be there. But is this something you'd like to get down and?
We were in the process of setting up a Scottish federation through Mark Goddard, met us in Glasgow. Well, just before COVID, and at Sun we'd put together a board. We had to get a board and stuff like that, and then just started the process. But the COVID times kind of put a pin in that for now. But at Sun we'll need to get back to, because I know that IMMAA are keen to have like 4 nations championships with England, Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. The Irish team's excellent, and now the English team's getting better. It's definitely something we want, because I obviously want our guys to be like British, European, and world champions as amateurs. So when they turn pro, they're more marketable and stuff like that. You see these guys coming to the UFC now. They always mention it, their IMMAA credentials. You've seen it even on CageWarriors, where that guy that Scott fought last, Cedar Atlas, came over from Sweden and he'd won the IMMAAs twice before going on to like a 6-0 amateur record. But it's definitely something that needs to be in place. It's something that you get in boxing. Where guys have got massive amateur records and they just become better pros. It's something that we definitely want. If we'll get left behind if we don't do it, that's how I feel about it.
The other thing I was curious about as well, did you know who you were going to be fighting when you went down, or did you find out on the day?
Well, we were told we were going to fight, but we actually didn't have any idea who the person was.
So was it just basically that you were told as you got down there, right, this is who you're fighting, this
through
is
the emails, all we got was a name, which gym they're from, where they're from.
It changed a bunch as well for some of them, so I think...
Because I've heard in the past, I've heard people speak about like IMMAAs and stuff like that. Like, was it Richard Shore that spoke about this? That you're going out there and you might be fighting 3 or 4 different guys, but you have no idea who they are.
I think when you go to the Euros or the Worlds, there's your weight class will have 16 or 32 people in it, so you don't know, it doesn't get drawn until you get there. With this one, it was like the English Invitational was basically, we had to submit names, weights and records, and then they get back saying, right, we'll match your guy, and you'd get a name and stuff, but it changed that many times for all our guys. Some of them ended up changing weights. I know Lewis was meant to fight 3 2s and ended up fighting 3 3s. So it was that, but at that level, I never really researched who you were fighting too much. I had a look to see what kind of stance they fight in, if they were, what they favoured and stuff like that, but I never went into like the massive detail with how you'd scout for maybe like a pro fight. I think when you go to the big comps, you don't know who you're getting. You maybe know who's in the division, who's qualified, so you kind of have to plan for them all and stuff like that. But that's half the kind of beauty of that format, is you don't need to worry about one guy for 6 weeks and game plan for one guy, and you need to be well rounded enough to deal with whoever you end up fighting. And
I would imagine then in the situations it's the more well rounded fighters that are going to do well.
If they can suss the other guy out quick, and then whoever imposes their game on the other guy's going to win.
Aye, and for you obviously debuting, getting your first fight, it's quite an unusual circumstance to to have your first fight. Obviously, normally it's totally different for your amateurs. Normally, it's just matched on a regional show, so this is a completely different scenario to debut. Were you looking forward to that as well, because it was slightly different?
Aye. But when we went down, when we took the shin guards,
Yeah.
and like we thought we were going to get like massive shin guards,
Right.
but they were like next to nothing. And so see, when we were fighting, we were kicking, it just felt like pure bone. That's pretty much what it felt like.
So basically as close to a real fight as you're going to get. So, but all in all, good experience. And
Class.
like I say, I'm hopefully they do more of this stuff. It's definitely going to help the growth of the sport and help younger guys progress in the United Kingdom. Because I feel like we're still quite a bit behind, especially like America and stuff like that. We still feel a good bit behind them. So the more stuff like this happening, it can only be better all round for the British guys.
Yeah, I'll improve the standard, I think.
Aye, absolutely. So we've had a few other things happening as well. I think obviously Ross Houston was scheduled to fight again in Bellator, but then there's been issues throughout his brain scan. We've seen stuff like this happen before, and obviously the specifics haven't been released to what it is. From my understanding, like Carl Eleanor's the one that springs to mind with me. That obviously got overturned, but with Ross been out for so long, obviously fought MVP the last time, then this pops up, and it's a potentially career-ending thing.
It's terrifying, to be honest. Sons, I spoke to him the other night. He messaged up. I shared Mark Ewan's last fight, and Ross messaged just saying Mark looked excellent and stuff. And then I'm just like fucking daft, like, how's training going, mate? And he's like, it was going alright, but and he mentioned the brain scan thing, so you've tried to be positive with him. I was like, you get a second opinion, because I know you were saying with Cal and stuff, but for my experience, we had Paul McVeigh when he went to the Ultimate Fighter, son showed up in his brain scan, and he went to the best doctors he could find in Glasgow, and they were like, that looks like it's been there since he was a kid.
Yeah.
And then the same way with Chris Shaw in here at 1FC, mind, he failed the brain scan, and they done extra tests or additional tests, and it turned out there was like an enlarged vein or something on his brain. I can't remember, but so that was overturned. So hopefully there's, first of all, there's no problem with him.
Yeah.
And he can get it rectified and get back to fighting, because he's right there. He's just coming off. MVP's just beat Lima. Ross has just come off a loss to him where he took a round off him. So hopefully he gets it's just some abnormality that gets dealt with and he can fight again. The worrying thing is that Ross has got a history of the brain scans with Cage Warriors, who would have had them at Safe MMA, so I don't know if there's something on this most recent scan that's not been there before. And you're always going to think about that Dalby fight with the two of them beating the shit out of each other and stuff like that. So hopefully it's just something like a shadow or whatever, one of these things that pops up, and he can get it fixed, and he can get back on with his career, because he's put so much into it, and he's right there as well. So hopefully he can get that fixed, but it would be quite a scary thing, I'd imagine.
And presumably that's what they'll do. They'll if they can, they'll go back through his old brain scans, because I think that was the issue with Cal Eleanor. I think there was an issue with an old brain scan for South Africa, but then when they checked him, he had the same thing in the brain scan. Yeah. So I'm presuming they'll do that with us.
Yeah, that's best case scenario. They find something that's been there the whole time. Worst case scenario, something's happened and it's something new there that's not been on a scan before, but you'll need to wait and see. I think Alex Enland was the other guy we were thinking he might have signed for the UFC and had some issues with a brain scan, and the UFC actually cut him, and then he ended up getting all that cleared and going on to fight an ACB against Ken Musa. But I think the whole thing fried his head a wee bit, to be honest. But we'll wait and see. Hopefully he's chasing up second opinions. But the most important thing is obviously the guy's health. He needs to be healthy. Yeah,
100%. Especially for what we've seen recently. Obviously it's not mixed martial arts, but bare knuckle boxing. Bare knuckle boxing had a death in there, and although it didn't look like it was from the punch, it was from the way he landed in the knockout. And Lewis, you were saying he had a previous spinal injury that he'd heard, and I mean you don't want to see that in any combat sports. It's horrible to see, but the way the guy fell, have you seen the actual?
you know that way when somebody sends you something, but you know what it is. So I'm like, I'm not watching that. I don't want to see somebody fucking dying.
Right.
I've got a couple of mates that like to send me guys getting chopped up with chainsaws and eating with dogs and stuff like that. I'm like, look at this guy getting held down and Doug's eating his balls for the Mexican cartel.
Jesus
Torture
Christ.
some guy. It's alright.
Yeah.
It's alright. He's a paedophile. I'm not want to see
Still,
that.
I still don't want to see it. Aye.
But, I didn't look at it, man. But I heard it was that's a real thing. It's that double impact thing. It's the punch. It's how they fall. I think that's quite common in those one punch kills at the side where somebody gets punched in the street and falls there and bangs their head. But it's a shame that and bare knuckles getting a bit of hassle about it, which is it was always going to happen just because of how it looks. But bare knuckles are actually safer than normal boxing.
Yeah,
because everybody thinks of these the bare knuckles and whatever else, but they forget that boxing gloves are designed to protect your hands so you can land more punches. It's not to protect the guy's face.
Well, I think the best example I heard of that with the comparison between glove and no glove. If you ask somebody to say punch a wall, punch it with a 16-ounce glove on, they're going to hit it pretty hard. Remove the glove and ask them to do the same thing. The force changes. Yep. But you can see it's one of the knockouts are always worse. I see when somebody gets knocked out, I always think it looks it is so much worse. It's when they fall forward.
That's the worst ones, yeah. Go face first.
Aye, and it's because you've not because you're completely out. The hands don't come up at all. Obviously, have you seen it, Tunde?
No,
you've seen it, listen. So, like you see it, just the hands don't come up at all, and it's just. But it's the way, obviously fighters sometimes face plant, but they kind of fall like that. He almost it's like he spikes his head,
like a nosedive.
Aye, and you can see it's almost like he's putting his neck in a U shape. It was horrible to see. But it reminds you how dangerous these sports are. It was definitely a rough one. But obviously condolences go out to the guy's family. But it was like I say, it was nothing to do with the actual being bare knuckle. I think it could have happened in any sport.
Feel bad for the guy's opponent, actually, the guy who was fighting him, because it's a hard thing to live with as well. It's these guys are they maybe give all that talk at the start about killing each other and stuff like that, but it is a sport, and they probably get more respect or more in common with each other than they have with anybody else. So it'd be a tough thing to live with, that killing somebody in a sport or in a game.
Actually, you've seen it in the. Did you ever watch remember, it was actually maybe in the last few years, the Nigel Benn one. He didn't kill his opponent, but obviously
McClelland.
I think McClelland was at the Kronk gym, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But I think Nigel Benn goes back and see him, and it's a hard watch. Because I think McClelland's family still blames him, even though I mean the two guys are out there trying to hurt each other.
Yeah.
But it's you don't want to see it in a sport, but it is. Yeah. It's part of every combat sport is there.
It's a risk, isn't it?
Aye, absolutely. And you mentioned MVP Lima there. Do you think it was the correct decision?
I don't think so, man. I had Bellator on and Cage Warriors at the same time, and there's something just not right with Bellator. It was terrible, the whole show. I liked the Tim Wilde fight. I thought that was a really good fight. The Bellator show in general was poor. I don't think MVP would have got that decision in America, to be honest. I thought Lima done enough with the wrestling and the takedowns to win. I seen some stats saying that MVP had only thrown 30 shots or something in the 3 rounds, and he knocked Lima over a couple of times, but he bundled him over. He missed the punch and just fell into him and bundled him over. So I'm not quite sure how it was a close fight, so it's not like the worst robbery I've ever seen. And Lima looks terrible. Like he's had a bit of a fall for grace. I think that's him lost his last 3. But at the time I scored it to Lima, I wouldn't be surprised when Page got a decision. His takedown defence was absolutely appalling and stuff like that. He's an excellent gym at London Shoot, who always had good wrestlers and stuff like that, and I expected better takedown defence, but that whole, even just the main card on Bellator was so far behind Cage Warriors, it was unbelievable.
And did you not notice in the fight, Lima almost caught him the exact and it was the exact same way. There was But did you see the fight?
I saw
It was so close.
He just got
you imagine he caught him with the exact same knockout, and it was very, very, very close.
Yeah.
But is it? It comes to every fighter. They hit that point where they plateau and physically. And Lima's been around the game for a while. He's not a young man. And he's been through some wars. But are we at that point with Lima where he may have just he's hit the plateau and that's him coming down the other end now?
It looks like it. It looks like he's had his best. And that Nemkov guy that beat him was a good fighter. Masasi's a good fighter as well. And he's bigger than Lima, but there's no shame in him losing to the guys. But they just didn't look great in MVP. He fought quite smart. I think if you lead against MVP, he'll kill you. He's exceptionally good counter fighter, and Lima does generally wait. But the ease that he took him down when he needed to, and how easy it was for him to control him and stuff, he could have done that easily for the 15 minutes, I think. But it looks like you can't see him being the champion anymore. There was a point in time when they thought if he'd be a top 5 guy in the UFC if he came over, but he looked like he wouldn't make the top 15 in the UFC at welterweight now.
Realistically as well, this is probably the outcome Bellator would have wanted. MVP is much more marketable than Lima, and you're going to imagine it's title shot next.
Either that or a rematch. I think Page actually said he would do the third fight with him.
Surprised to hear that, actually.
I think he came out and said that, but it's going to be a big fight either way.
Yeah.
He definitely had people watching, that's for sure.
He definitely knows. He's done some. That cyborg knockout stands out. I wasn't too keen on the Pokemon thing after it, though. I thought that was a bit excessive.
You see, when he fights, the best guys he's fought's been Paul Daly and Lima, and he's stunk the building it with the fights. When he fights guys that he's much better than, like everyone he's highlight real knockouts.
There's no danger.
He'll look exceptional. So if they keep feeding him guys like that, he's going to fly and knee them or one punch KO them or break their nose or whatever. But the 2 times he's stepped up to face not even like elite level guys like Daly and Lima, or we've already mentioned Lima maybe been past it, or they are elite level guys, but no in their prime. And the fights have been terrible.
And when you look at the welterweight division there's some good guys in the welterweight division in Bellator, but then you look at the welterweight division in the UFC, it's a different world, isn't it?
It's much stronger now.
And just staying on the subject of Bellator, obviously we've got I'm trying to get the names right here. So the Pitbull brothers, it's Patricio that vacated the belt. Patricio's the older brother. Am I right?
Patricio and Patricio.
And Patricio is the one that had the lightweight belt. He's vacated it. So Patricio and Quealy's fight, it's their second fight. That's now upgraded to a title fight.
Lightweight world title.
Lightweight world title. Obviously, we've got Patchy Mix and James Gallagher, that was the headline fight, is now moved to the undercard. Big opportunity for Quealy.
Aye, that card will be brilliant. I'm kind of gutted Keir's fight fell off it.
Aye.
It is a big opportunity for Peter, and I hope he wins. He's one of the guys. I was speaking to Doolan about it the day. Doolan's quite close with Peter. He's one of the good guys in the sport. You know, he's never ducked anybody. He takes any fight he can get, hard fights, and he's looked exceptional. He's been there and done it. Peter, he's a tough bastard. Everybody who's ever trained with him is nothing but good stuff to say about him, how hard he works. And now he's got his opportunity.
Aye.
And I hope he takes it with both hands. Man, I like seeing guys that he's not a guy you'd have labelled 5 years ago to be like a world champion or potentially a superstar, and it's good when the guys get the breaks and stuff comes through. I remember him going to Russia and fighting and stuff like that, and then obviously the Ryan Scope fight we spoke about on here was exceptional that night, and then beating Pitbull in the last fight. So it's a massive night for him, and I hope that stadium's going to be, it's a special night for him, I think, in Dublin as well, and it'd be really nice if everyone just comes together and he gets a win there. But
one of the moments in a career he's worked towards his whole career, and obviously getting the win in Dublin, and with Jake Gallagher on the card as well, it's going to be an insane. That'll be a brilliant night, that one. I think it'll be fully SPG guys. Obviously we were there when Callum fought, in the atmosphere, and
it's the same as Scotland, the Irish crowd there, but they really get behind their fighters there. The venue there's brilliant, the acoustics and everything. They're right on top of the cage, yeah, so it'll be a good night, man. I'd like to have been at it, but I'll watch it on the telly, and hopefully Peter gets a win.
Aye, hopefully Bellator will just keep it to the one channel. So we can just switch a channel on and watch it instead of it's like being a fucking mathematician or something like that, trying to find Bellator. You need to go to this one, to that one, that. It's fucking.
Aye,
Bellator.
It's all on iPlayer now, isn't it? So you're fine.
Aye, well, at least that's good, at least, because it's Bellator. Honestly, they never cease to. Do you remember you'd be watching fights and you're like, well, has this fight actually happened?
Get some people in trouble here, but I remember. I'm not mentioning any names. People been at Bellator and they've done the dark fights, and you could still bet on them after the fights. So I remember certain pro UFC lightweight fighters putting quite a lot of money on fights that they already knew the results in and getting paid out for them. And then getting an email the next day saying William Hill has cancelled your account, but he'd already paid it. So and they were sponsored by William Hill, I think, as well, Bellator that night. But the shot themselves on the foot there. But every time a Bellator event comes on, we have people messaging saying, if you're at the Bellator fight, send me some of the prelim results because you can still bet on them.
I think I done one similar. It was remember they done the Bellator basically before, but it was when Bama were still about. But they done that. It was like a split card with Bama, Bellator. But I think the Bellator fights come on first, but then we're shown later at night on TV. It was the same situation. I was down there, so I just sent a couple of messages. I never betted or anything like that. But aye, Bellator. I don't know. Is it? Have they got 1 foot in, 1 foot out?
I don't know, man. I don't know how much longer they can keep that Ireland show will be a success. See if they'd done every show in Ireland, they'd be jamming. But since that show will be a success regardless. But the London show was pretty rank, to be honest. You feel that if they were going to get things right, they would have got it right by now. It just feels like you wonder who's making some of the decisions higher up. I mean, it's there's some weird stuff because there's some really good fighters there. But they're not fighting each other. It's just a weird setup.
The last one was YouTube and then BBC iPlayer. The prelims was YouTube and then you could watch the main card on iPlayer. Just have it in one. Just keep it with iPlayer all the time.
iPlayer's good. I think I quite like it. Yeah, on iPlayer.
As long as you've paid your tele license, you're good. As long as you've paid your tele license. Everybody's tele license is all paid up. But another thing I saw pop up, obviously Aspen Ladd, that horrific weight cut not long ago. Holly Holmes' fights fell out, now she's stepped in.
I seen that. I think she's went up to that fight's at featherweight, I think, as well. So I seen the video. She struggled with the weight. Apparently it was the opponent. It wasn't the athletic commission. The opponent just said she wasn't fighting her because she never made the weight.
So she was only a pound out, wasn't she? So 2 pounds really off championship weight, but a pound out.
So she missed by a pound, but I think she'd already said, like, if she misses weight, I'm not fighting, and kind of stuck to her guns. But the athletic commission and that were going to let that fight go ahead, which is mental when you've seen the nick on the scales. But she's fighting at a weight class up now, I think next week or whatever.
You'd have thought as well the opponent after, because I mean you'd look at the state of Aspen Ladd, there's no way she's recovering in time. No with that condition. That's like remember Travis Lutter, Anderson Silver. He was having to shuffle his sail out. She was in a horrendous condition.
Some people take a wee bit of kind of strength on that. He's really struggled with the weight. I'm going to jump all over him. And then other people just be like, it's an unfair advantage, even if it is just a pound. But she needs to get that, and she's got a lot of potential. She's exciting to watch, and she's a good fighter. But she needs to get that in check. It's
just getting the weight classes down, and it's not an easy thing. Do you go 135 and get Shevchenko, or 145 and get Nunes?
Aye, she's into her and Shanks should just team up together.
Fucking up. So weight cut, and I'll ask you as well. So did you have to cut much weight when you were getting down?
Aye, a wee bit.
How was? Have you ever cut weight before?
No, was this your first time.
How was it?
I was hungry. I was starving.
So how did you do your weight cut?
Just cut all carbs out.
Aye, so that was
all done. Aye.
What about yourself? How's
It was a lot tougher this time. The
Right.
first 2 times was pretty easy, but this time was a lot tougher. One, I couldn't cut water, and the second is because because of the same day weigh-in.
aye?
That kind of like messed me up a little bit, because I usually cut about 75, 76 kilos, and the fight was at 70 kilos. So if there was a catch weight about 73, 74, I'd been all right. But being at 70 kilos, I was like eating low carbs all week.
Aye.
And by the time me and Lewis actually stepped into the arena, went past security, you're talking about what? 9:30, 10 o'clock?
It's not even that. Like, I weighed in and I was fighting like 20 minutes later.
20 minutes
Really?
later, yeah.
So you've not got the point of reference, fighting before and then the weight cut the day before, but you have. How big a difference was it?
Oh, it's massive.
Aye.
Oh, it's huge. Like, the thing is that because you can refuel, you can get your energy back up, and then you can go again. But for that one there, I just felt like all my energy went out after the first round, and that was it. I just didn't have the energy to go on, but I just kept pushing myself.
That's same day weigh-ins.
He's also had 3 fights in 3 months. Tunde only.
So you went for debut.
Thinking about fighting to 3-0.
Right. So what was it? I've got it. Obviously, we've got you here. Tunde, I'll ask you first. So, how long have you been coming to the gym and training now?
Well, I'll probably say about 2 years now.
About 2 years.
Yeah.
Was Coonley training before you?
Yeah.
So was that the reason you started to tee?
Not really, actually. I just I felt lost for a while. Like,
Aye.
I was going to the gym quite a lot, but there was no like sense of direction. It just felt like going to work, go to the gym. If I could be bothered, I'll go to the gym. If I can't be bothered, I won't go. And it just felt like repetitive.
Aye.
And then I just thought, you know what, I need to shake things up and actually bring a bit of excitement back into my life. And I just started coming here. And then after a while, I think it's the learning process.
Aye.
You just get addicted to it. And then you just feel like, some days you come in, you do amazing, and you're like, can't wait to come back. And then some days you fall off and like, you know what, I need to get better.
That's one way to shake things up. Come and get punched in the face. And Lewis, for you, how long have you? Because I've seen you about the gym for ages. How long have you?
Training here, I started doing 10-week beginner course in the old gym.
Yeah.
But before that, I've done boxing when I was 13.
Aye.
And I was like a few weeks before I'd done the beginner course. I think it was like 8 weeks. I snapped my collarbone and snapped my wrist. And then I came in and I was like basically one-handed. It was brutal, but stayed here ever since.
So who did you make it at when you've got coming in with a broken wrist and collarbone for the beginner course?
It shows his keen still turns up. But you've got guys that will not come in because they've got a runny nose or something. And, but the ones that turn up when they're injured are the ones that tend to go places. They'll come in and they know they can learn stuff even watching. Do you know what I mean? And the big thing with that is just no breaking your routine.
Yep.
This is something that's came up with the COVID thing. Like we've got guys that have trained with us for about 10 years that with the lockdown they've found something else to do, whether it's hill walking or cycling, so the routine's gone to shit. So if you're injured and stuff like that, you'd be best still getting into the gym the nights that you're in the gym so that your routine never changes.
Aye.
And so you're not replacing it with Coronation Street or some shit. But Lewis has been... Lewis, we knew he was going to probably end up fighting when he first came in. Some guys you can tell. He's been doing really well in jiu-jitsu comps and stuff like that as well. So the EMMAA thing was, or the English version of the EMMAA thing was just a good way for us just to get him started. I think there's less pressure on the ones, to be honest, than some of the shows.
So you've not got all the family and friends and all that.
You're not in a sports centre at night where every cunt's steaming. I found I was at the Bama one with Jason Woods a couple of years back. He won it, and it just felt a wee bit more relaxed. But Lewis's next fight will probably want like a regional show now, and we can get his career started. And I'll be there as well the next time as well, so everyone will be a bit different.
It's like I've dipped my toes in the water.
Really? And now you want to jump in?
Aye.
That's not a bad thing.
He'd first.
That's good. I've saw as well. You've got the jet setter Callum Murray's back in the gym with a nice tan. He's been out sampling the world's hair.
It didn't go very well for him. I think he was in Mallorca for a week, then Amsterdam for 5 days, and I don't know if he came straight here for the airport, but he's fucking jumped on the mat like a madman, just got his arse kicked. he's like, I need to get through here. I'm not saying to Doolan, I was like, can he tap Callum with chokes? He's unchokeable. Doolan's just choked him about 5 times. He's some boy, man. He just strolls in with this mad tan. He's like, jumps in on the mat like he's never been away. But he'll need to get through me. I think he knows that himself. I think he didn't really want to jump into that Tuesday morning session off a 5-day bender either. It's fucking terrible.
No. I certainly looked like he was enjoying himself out in Amsterdam, as most people do.
Aye, he didn't enjoy that Tuesday.
And the last thing I wanted to mention as well, obviously, with the stuff with Chris Duncan recently, obviously flew out and that he had the issue with, obviously, he's fighting a contender, getting called off. Then he made weight again, just with the off chance to get back in, but now he's been rebooked. I've not seen the opponent, but I believe he's been rebooked for, is it the next week?
Aye, it's the same show that Jake's on, Hadley's on.
Right.
Is that the 10th or the 11th, I think?
12th, yeah.
12th,
aye. So I'm glad he's rematched, man. We spoke about this before, but staying, he's got like a baby in the house and stuff, so he's obviously stayed over there and it's paid off for him, so he's on that card next Tuesday. It looks like they've cut the guy who's originally meant to fight. I think they've patched him, which is fair enough. I think now he's got in some ways he's maybe got a harder opponent. He's got a kid for Team Alpha Male who's a decent kickboxer. I spoke to a guy who's done a bit of Alpha Male, who trained there, and was saying the guy has very, very basic grappling. I think he'd a relatively extensive kickboxing record, and he's changed over to MMA. He's 4-1. He's been decision once and a loss, but he's got a couple of knockouts and stuff. So look, in some ways it might be a harder fight, but in some ways it might make it easier for Chris to get a contract, because I think this guy will actually try and engage on the feet with him.
Yep.
Whether Chris is going to stand up and fight with him like that or take him down, we'll find out next week. But he's got his opportunity, which is what he needs, and I'm pretty sure he'll take it with both hands. I think the 4-1. The guy's not had amateur MMA fights or stuff. He's had the kickboxing fights, but 4-1's not a massive record. So I can see Chris still getting the job done there. Hopefully he gets to finish. It looks like most of the Tuesday night contender guys, they're dishing out contracts a lot. It seems to be 4 or 5 a week. So I can see him and Jake Hadley getting contracts next Tuesday.
It's one of the things as well with the contenders. It's you're getting really exciting fighters coming through, and it's kind of like the old tough contracts as well. You can put them on the lower contracts and keep them on that for a while until they work their way up through the UFC.
Yeah, the contract's poor, money wise, to be honest, but it gets your foot in the door.
Well, that's it. And if you're good enough and you're an exciting fighter, I'm pretty sure you'll get off that contract fairly quickly. And I think the way the contenders set up as well, they've specifically set it up in a way because they want exciting fights and exciting fighters. So I
think that one, if they both stand up, that's going to be an exciting fight, definitely. Because Chris hits hard, he can take a shot well, and that guy's technically is a really good kickboxer. I think if Chris takes him down, he'll need to be on top of him and just beat the crap out of him and hope to stop him, which he's more than capable of doing. But it'll be good. It'll be a good fight.
Brilliant. And in terms of the gym, what have you got? You got much coming up in the pipeline?
We're matching now. We tried to get guys matched for Budo and Falkirk in November.
Right, good.
Couldn't get a single guy matched on it.
Nothing on it at all?
First Budo show ever up here with no higher level. We usually have the main event and stuff, but no higher level guys on. So we'll get some on. We've got dates for Evolution of Combat November and Budo and Bolton December that we'll look at. Cage Warriors is back in December, so we should find out what's happening with Shanks with that. I think Stevie Mott will probably be on that. What else is happening? Stevie Ray's just signed with PFL.
Right.
Like a really good contract. So he's due back his honeymoon the next couple of days and he's going straight back to training. I think he's looking at fighting in March. He's going into the $1 million tournament. He's signed for 2 seasons, I think, but the contract's better than the one he had at UFC, to be honest. It's taken a wee while to hash that out, but he's potentially can make a fair bit of money. So we get back to work when he's back next week.
Back for the hunt. Stevie wins a $1 million contract. Is he continuing to fight?
I think he's actually in a position now where he probably doesn't need to fight to make money.
Aye.
But he has been missing it. Like, it sounds daft, but he has been missing fighting.
Aye.
it's always going to eat at him, the fact that he was meant to retire at 28, 29. Weirdly enough, we got a message off Sean Shelby saying that if he got clearance for the knees, they would have him back as well. Running about the same time as the PFL thinking, but I'm not getting into details of the contract with PFL, but it's a substantial amount of money he's going to make, so he needs to do what's right for him and his family now. He's got 2 years there to make as much money as he possibly can, and then whether he goes for there is up to him, but so it should be exciting. I think he's looking at March for his first fight.
Stevie just seems like he's got that bit in him where some guys you would describe as a martial artist, Stevie describes as a fighter.
He was fighting in the street before he was before he ever went in a gym. Like he's known for it up where he lives. His wedding recently, there was all sorts of talking the best man speech and everything about Stevie at 16 kicking this guy in the head and this guy and whatever else. But he's just one of the boys, man. He's just like a normal boy who happens to be very good at fighting.
Did they mention him chasing guys in bikes and all that?
They left that. But there was some absolute gold in some of the speeches, like. But he went off on a tangent a couple of times, put his bit of paper down, started going on about something else, then picked it up and went next part, and then started we were at the table just like it's funny, man.
That sounds about right. So I think that's us. We'll wrap up for this week. So cheers for coming on the show, lads.
Thank you.
And obviously, we look forward to seeing you getting back in there. And that's it from us.